What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. And as of today, April 13th, 2023, we just got a look at the cards that will be dropping from Series 4 to Series 3 and from Series 5 to Series 4 in the next balance patch for Marvel Snap. Now, they did say in a previous blog that the next patch would actually be April 18th, which is next Tuesday. So we can deduct that these cards will be dropping on the 18th alongside that balance patch. Going from Series 4 to Series 3, we have Super Skrull, Shuri, Black Panther, Bast, and Valkyrie. And then Series 5 to Series 4, we have Stature, MODOK, and Ghost. And I want to do something a little bit different. I kind of want to break down a tier list on what I think are like the good cards you should go for and maybe the not so good cards that you should try and avoid. A little bit different from my usual content, right? I don't really do tier lists. I think this will probably be the first tier list I've ever done for Marvel Snap, surprisingly, but I think it'd actually be a cool idea, kind of talk through my thoughts a little bit on which cards you should be picking up or save up some tokens for. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, we have Bast going from a Series 4 to a Series 3 card, and Bast is actually the card, the only card that I don't have of the Series 4 that are dropping to Series 3. So this will definitely be my free Series 3 pickup for the season. Bast is a really good card. It's played in bounce decks a lot. It's played in Sarah decks. I've seen it in Patriot decks. It also goes in negative decks. So it's a really solid card. So we have a S, A, B, C, and D as our tiers here. Just kind of, standard tier list. S tier is obviously going to be the best of the best. A is going to be just really good cards. B is going to be good, but maybe not as flexible as A tier. C is like okay, and then D is not great. Usually want to be avoiding cards in the D tier. So where would we put Bast? And if you did not know what Bast does, Bast is a 1/1, has an on reveal ability to set all cards in your hand to the power of 3. So a very strong ability that goes well with low power cards. Again, like I said, bounce decks, negative decks, a really good card this pairs well with is actually Mysterio, because you turn Mysterio into a 2/3, but then his clones also become a 2/3. So it's essentially a 2 for 9, which is pretty dang busted. And of course, it also goes well with Hitmonkey, synergizes with Mysterio, which synergizes with Hitmonkey. So if you put Bast, Hitmonkey, and Mysterio in a deck together, that's going to be a lot of points on the board. So I don't have Bast myself, like I said, but I think Bast is a really strong card. And honestly, I think I'm going to put it into A tier. Because it can just fit into multiple decks, right? Like, it is just a really strong card, and when you see someone drop Bast down on turn 1, like, it can be pretty dangerous. Next up, we have Black Panther. Black Panther is a 5-cost 4-power card with an on-reveal ability to double this card's power when you play him. So if you play him without any buffs on him, he'll go from a 5/4 to a 5/8, which is not very good, but that's why I usually want to play him with cards like really like Shuri was kind of intended to combo with Black Panther, right? But she's been playing with Red Skull. But yeah, you can buff him up with Shuri, Nakia, Okoye, all the like Wakandan type of characters, and then you can also activate his on reveal ability twice with Wong or with Arnim Zola. I think he's an okay card. I think he's a really fun card. He was one of the previous season pass cards a few months ago. I like Black Panther, but I don't think he's that great, to be honest. Like, usually the best thing you can do with him is combo him with Arnim Zola, because Arnim Zola will destroy Black Panther, but then add 2 other Black Panthers to the other locations and activate the on reveal ability again. So he'll double to 8 and then double again to 16. But it's a very predictable combo, can be countered a lot by so many things. So it's not great. I'm gonna put him in the C tier. I think he's an okay card. Like, I don't think this is a card that you should be rushing to go out of your way to pick up. But if maybe you missed out on him because you didn't buy that season pass, then yeah, maybe this is a decent pickup as one of your free cards to claim. but I think I would recommend you go with one of the cards from B or above. So yeah, I think he's a C tier card right now. Next up, we have Ghost, which is dropping from a Series 5 to a Series 4 card. Ghost is a 1-cost 2-power card with an ongoing ability that your on-reveal abilities always happen last. And Ghost, I do not own this card, and I have rarely seen it played. To be honest with you, I don't really see a lot of people who first off own the card and then secondly actually play the card. I would assume it really goes in maybe like control style decks. Since control decks don't want priority, you want to be going second so you can hit your opponent with things like Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Valkyrie, things like that. But I don't really see a good use case for this card at the moment. So it's going to Series 4, which means it's going to be 3,000 tokens. And honestly, I think I would just save your tokens. I don't think this is worth picking up. I'm going to put Ghost in a D tier right now. I think it's an interesting card. It's definitely a unique card when it was revealed. I was pretty excited for it, but I haven't really seen anyone do any cool things with it. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong. If someone has a really cool like Ghost deck or you know, maybe some kind of zoo deck with Ghost, you know, feel free to share it. I'd love to take a look at it, but for now I'm gonna put Ghost in D tier. Next up, we have MODOK, another previous season pass card going from Series 5 to Series 4. He is a 5-cost card with 8 power with an on-reveal ability to discard all cards from your hand. Now, MODOK is a bit of an interesting one because he is a really good card, but he's only good in discard. So he's not as flexible as, let's say, Bast, which I think Bast is a much more flexible card. It can fit into multiple decks, which is why it is in the A tier. But MODOK really only fits in discard. I mean, maybe you can do something weird and make like a MODOK Strong Guy deck, but I think Strong Guy is just not a good card, and you should not be playing him. I did feature a discard deck on my channel recently that had MODOK and Dracula and Apocalypse, and I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to check out that deck. I think that is the best discard deck at the moment, and MODOK definitely is really, really good in that deck and definitely required in a discard deck, in my opinion. If you are missing MODOK and you really love playing discard, I would say go ahead and pick him up. But if you don't like playing discard, or if you don't play discard very often, I would say go ahead and pass on him. He is a good card. It's just that he only fits in discard essentially. But even though with that in mind, I think MODOK still is really good because he can buff up your Morbius a lot. He can usually guarantee that your Dracula is going to hit something big, and he can discard your Swarms, Wolverine, things like that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put him into B tier. He's a really strong card. The only thing that's holding him back is the lack of flexibility. So MODOK is a B tier for me. Next up, we got everybody's favorite card, and that is Shuri. I'm sure that you guys know what she does, but just in case if there's anyone out there who may be new to Marvel Snap, doesn't know what she does, she is a 4-cost 2-power card with an on-reveal ability to double the power of the next card you play. So obviously, Shuri has dominated the meta for a few months now, and obviously one of the best cards in the game. So easily, as of right now, Shuri is an S tier, no brainer. This is definitely a card you want to be picking up. However, what I will say is the devs have confirmed that they will be changing Shuri on the next patch, which is April 18th, next Tuesday. Now, they haven't said exactly what it is they're doing to nerf Shuri or change her, but we know it's going to be a big change because they actually required a full balance patch update to change her. This was not something like a small numbers adjustment they could do via their over-the-air little mini balance patches as they did last week. So just keep in mind that as of right now, Shuri is an S tier card. However, I would definitely recommend you go and read how they changed her ability on the patch notes before you go and rush to pick her up, because I don't know what they're gonna do to her, to be honest. I mean, they can totally kill the card like they did to Leader, or they can do a more fair adjustment like what they did to Zabu. Hopefully they do something more in line with the Zabu nerf, because I actually think that was a really healthy nerf for the game. And Zabu's still a good card. It's not broken like it was before. And even though I did hate Leader, man, I hated Leader so much. It's a dead card. Like it's basically like deleted from the game. Like no one plays Leader anymore. So I don't want to see Shuri dead, but I do want to see some big enough of an impact to where she's not the top deck in the meta anymore. So just keep that in mind. As of right now, Shuri, S tier, but obviously could change with the next balance patch. Next up, going from a Series 5 to a Series 4, we have Stature, which is a 5-cost card with 7 power, and the ability that reads, if your opponent discards a card this game, Stature costs 1 energy. So a very powerful card, a card that I don't own yet, and I'm actually really excited. I'm actually kind of looking forward to picking up Stature. Right now, I'm saving up tokens for Jeff, but I do want to pick up Stature at some point. I think Stature is a really fun card. 1/7 is no joke. It's almost like a better Miles Morales in a way, because Miles Morales will cost 1 and he has 5 power if you moved a card the previous turn. But the thing with Miles is he only retains that cost reduction for 1 turn, whereas Stature, if your opponent discards 1 card throughout the game at any point in time, she will remain 1 cost for the entirety of the game, which is a very, very strong ability. A 1/7 is no joke. I mean, a 1/7, it's like an Ebony Maw, but with no downside, right? So I think Stature is a really solid card. It actually makes Black Bolt playable, right? Black Bolt usually regarded as one of the worst cards in the game, but Black Bolt actually has a home with Stature. So that's kind of fun. You can bust out those cool Black Bolt variants, because he has some really cool variants, but he's just a really bad card. But he's actually playable with Stature, and I think that's really cool. The one thing I will say about Stature that I don't like, however, is that I think she was stronger before with the old arrow, because what you can do is you can play like Black Bolt on turn 5, discard a card from your opponent's hand, and then on turn 6, you can do arrow plus Stature. Well, you still can do that, but the new arrow isn't as broken as the previous arrow, so I think that does kind of hurt Stature indirectly a little bit. I think Stature is still a really solid card. For 3,000 tokens, in my opinion, it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I think it's actually more of a flexible card than MODOK. So I'm going to go ahead and put Stature into the B tier, because I think Stature, you just put Stature and like either Black Bolt or Moon Knight in a deck together, and then just kind of build the rest from there, right? Like, I guess you could do like a discard deck with like Stature and Moon Knight in there, but you could also do just like a mid-range good cards kind of deck, right, with like Stature and Black Bolt and whatever other cards you want, whereas MODOK is really just kind of limited to discard. So I think Stature is definitely deserving of the B tier, just a little bit higher than MODOK for the flexibility though. All right, next up, dropping down from a Series 4 to a Series 3, we have Super Skrull, which is a 4-cost card with 2 power, has an ongoing ability that he has the ongoing ability of all your enemy cards. And Super Skrull is kind of a difficult one for me. I have actually been playing a lot of Super Skrull recently, and I gotta say, I think this card is being slept on a little bit. I think Super Skrull is actually legit. I think the best deck to put him into right now is a Devil Dino Darkhawk deck, because if you're playing a mirror matchup and your opponent is also playing Devil Dino and they're also playing Darkhawk, if those cards get big, then your Super Skrull is also going to get big, and it's just an automatic win. I've also been seeing a lot more people playing Iron Man lately. Super Skrull copying an Iron Man is really strong. There's still a lot of people playing Blue Marvel out there. He can copy a Zabu. Super Skrull's insane. Like, this card has been starting to grow on me lately, and I think he's actually a lot stronger than people think. But the thing with him is I'm kind of struggling right now. Like, I'm leaning towards B tier right now, right? Because I don't think he's necessarily a card that you should be like going out of your way to be like, oh man, I gotta have Super Skrull, like Super Skrull, Super Skrull. Like, I don't think he's like the first card that you should be trying to pick up necessarily. Like, he is a good card. I genuinely think Super Skrull is a good card, but you can still play like a Devil Dino Darkhawk deck without him just fine. Is kind of the thing, right? He also can fit into Patriot decks as well. Again, if you're in a mirror match and your opponent is also playing Patriot, you just get a bonus Patriot on your side of the board, essentially, right? And I have been noticing a lot more people play Patriot decks, especially in tournaments as well. So I think Super Skrull is good in that matchup. It's kind of hard to say, but I think I'm going to put him in B tier. I think I'm going to put him above MODOK because, again, Super Skrull, I think, is more flexible than MODOK. Super Skrull can fit into, again, like I said, Patriot decks, Dino decks, Darkhawk decks. But is he better than Stature? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Super Skrull, top of B tier. This card is legit. He is being slept on. I actually used a Devil Dino Darkhawk deck with Super Skrull in it to reach 95 recently. Maybe I'll do a video on that deck because I actually think it's really, really good. And Super Skrull has come in clutch many, many times. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put him at the top of B tier. Might be controversial, but it is what it is. And last but certainly not least, going from a Series 4 card to a Series 3 card, we have Valkyrie, which is a 5-cost card with 3 power, with an on-reveal ability to set all cards at this location to 3 power. So what that means is it'll set all cards, including yours and your opponent's, to 3 power at that specific location. And Valkyrie... Valkyrie's a really good card. Like, just kind of put it simply, Valkyrie is a good card. I think Valkyrie is a fairly flexible card that can fit into a good amount of decks. It can fit into Thanos decks. It can fit into Zoo decks. It can fit into Patriot decks, ongoing decks. I think there's a lot of different homes that Valkyrie can slot into. I think she's a good surprise card. Not that many people expect her. Now, of course, I'm sure more people are probably going to be playing her once these cards do drop in series because more people will have access to her. But you know, even myself, sometimes when people drop a Valkyrie, sometimes I'm like, man, I did not expect that. Like, it's really kind of hard to see coming sometimes. And I think Valkyrie synergizes with the Sentry, who actually just got buffed recently because the Sentry spawns a -10 void now, and you can just set that to 3 power with the Valkyrie. And that's also good for the same things, like let's say with like your opponent sends a green goblin or a hobgoblin over to your side of the board, right? Well, you can just set it to 3 power with Valkyrie. Also goes into Cerebro decks, which are not very popular, but if you're a Cerebro gamer, you know, go for it. I think Valkyrie is a super solid card. I think this is one of the cards that you should be going for if you don't have her already. Very flexible card. Has good surprise factor, fits into a bunch of different types of decks. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Valkyrie at the top of A tier as of right now. I think Valkyrie is probably the best out of all of these, not counting Shuri, because Shuri's just busted, right? But I think I'd actually say it's like slightly better than Bast. Bast, sometimes, you know, there can be some cards in your hand that might make Bast a little bit awkward. And Valkyrie, I think Valkyrie actually could potentially pair well with Ghost, but don't go out of your way to get Ghost. Definitely get Valkyrie. So yeah, I think Valkyrie is at the top of A tier. All right, so taking a look at the tier list, just kind of quick summary and recap real quick. We got Shuri at S tier. Of course, Shuri is broken, but just keep in mind they are going to be changing her on the 18th, so she may be a trash card. Who knows? Next up, we got Valkyrie and Bast at A tier. Very strong, flexible cards. Then we have B tier, Super Skrull, Stature, and MODOK. Good, strong cards, maybe just not as flexible as A tier. And then we have C tier with Black Panther. He's an okay card. Honestly, C tier and D tier, I would say kind of stick away from these. I would only recommend you try and go for a B and above, unless for some reason you really, really want Black Panther, then go for it. But other than that, I think he's just an okay card. And D tier, Ghost, I cannot recommend at this point. Unfortunately, don't really see Ghost a lot, and I think it's just because it's not a very good card, unfortunately. So that is the tier list for the upcoming cards that are dropping down in series. Which cards are you looking to pick up? For me personally, the ones I don't have Bast, Stature, and Ghost. I'm definitely going to be picking up Bast, since that'll be a free Series 3 card to claim. And then Stature, I definitely will pick up Stature at some point, just kind of saving my tokens for Jeff right now. But Bast and Stature are the cards I am looking forward to picking up the most. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I would really, really appreciate you. Hopefully we can hit 2,000 subscribers sometime soon. Been at 1,400 for a little bit now, so appreciate you guys who watch this video. Shout out to John CGI, the legendary member of the J Hugs Plays channel, the Goose Gang, if you will. If you want to join the Goose Gang, which is the name of my community, join the Discord server in the link down below in description. We are a very small but friendly community. You know, it doesn't matter what rank you are in Marvel Snap, whether you're a new player, infinite player, whatever it might be, you can join our community, and I would love to see you there and chat Marvel Snap with you. And the key word for this one, if you stuck around to the end of the video, the key word for this one is going to be Valhalla, for Valkyrie, I guess. I don't know. Type in Valhalla in the comments, and I know you stuck around to the end, that you're a real one for that. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Later.